let's go ahead and talk about the new Safari racks, new aluminum Safari racks. Well, I guess we're going to talk about the old one first. The old 210-3 Safari rack is what these new aluminum racks are replacing. And the old 210-3 rack was a stalwart. It's been around for about 20 years. It's a heavy-duty steel rack. These are the racks you see on top of vans, and the guy has, 3 or 4 scaffold planks stacked on top of it. They were very, very heavy-duty steel, so they, of course, anything steel out in the environment rusts, and the new racks are aluminum, so that they don't have that problem right off the bat. So they are discontinuing the 210-3. There still might be a few left in inventory, but for all intents and purposes, the 210-3 rack is discontinued in lieu of the new aluminum Safari racks. You'll notice there's 3 different versions. We've got one for the full size, extended for the longer vans, full size standard vans, and one for the compact vans as well. So one of the nice things about these racks is that now they fit more vehicles, whereas the old 210-3 steel rack only fit the racks with rain gutters, basically the GM and Chevy vans. Now in the old Ford Econoline vans, these new aluminum racks fit many more vehicles, including the old Chevy vans as well. So 3 different versions. The part numbers it's not a 210 part number. Now it's called an ASRL 001, aluminum Safari rack long wheelbase 001, or aluminum Safari rack standard 001, or aluminum Safari rack compact 001. Okay, so one of the nice things about these is they are more versatile. So they fit the new Ford Transit van, the European style vans, the Ram ProMasters, the Mercedes Sprinters. So we got so they just fit many more vehicles instead of just the old Chevy vans. They even fit the compact vans, the Transit Connect, the ProMaster City, and the Metris vans as well. Okay, pricing on these racks, it's kind of interesting. So the 210-3, trade price was about $1,562. These racks are a little bit less than that. Compact racks significantly less because it's a smaller rack. But even the extended and standard are less than the current style steel Safari rack, and they have some significant advantages over that. One thing to note, though, is that a lot of times with these new Safari racks, because they fit the European vans, you do need the installation kit, which are the aluminum channels, in order to mount them on. So that is an additional cost. But the pricing is, I think, it's right for these racks. Another nice thing about these racks is that you're seeing a picture of the ASRS, the aluminum standard Safari rack standard. It just comes in 1 carton now. If you notice if you remember the old 210-3s came in 3 different cartons, a little bit more difficult to inventory. It just comes in 1 carton. These racks have some significant weight to them. Even the carton you see here is about 80 pounds. So it is a beefy rack. Even though it's aluminum, it's not that light. But it does come in 1 carton, which is a lot easier to handle inventory-wise. Okay, so is load capacity. The nice thing about the Safari racks is they can handle a lot of weight, and these ones can as well. On the Express Savannah, you notice it's got a 500-pound capacity, which is a lot of weight you can put up there. It's less on the Transit and ProMasters and the Sprinters as well, just because those vans themselves can't handle that much weight. So you're limited by the van, not necessarily not the ladder rack. So the ladder rack itself can carry a lot of weight. Very heavy-duty construction. What I'm showing here on the left side here is the kind of the profile of the aluminum cross members. You can see it's kind of an airfoil-shaped cross member, but it does have these internal constructions. It's extremely heavy-duty, very beefy, very strong. I want to point out here. And the nice thing about this profile as well is that there is no need for an airfoil for this ladder rack. Yeah, a lot of the old ladder racks with the square cross members on the front deflected the air onto the roof of the vehicle and caused a lot of wind noise. These do not. It just deflects the air pretty much over and through the rack instead of onto the van. So you won't have the same wind noise with these racks. And on the right hand, you see one of the new features of this rack, which is the roller assembly, the Easy-On loader that's at the rear of the rack. It allows you to roll a ladder up on there. But even this profile has a lot of reinforcing in the middle, because the roller does take a lot of abuse when you bang a ladder on it to roll it onto the van, but it is very beefy, very strong. Okay. New features are that the roller bar at the back that assists with loading the ladders on and off. It does also include adjustable ladder stops and tie-down points, which helps to secure the load. And of course, it is aluminum construction, so it's lighter weight. You do not have the issue with rusting on these racks as well. So this just shows what you put on there, and you can't see the ladder stops, but they're just positioned so that the ladders won't sway back and forth. On the roller, you can see, especially on some of the taller mid-roof vans, it can be difficult to get a ladder up there without a roller. So the roller comes down at the back, extends over, and you just lay the ladder on the roller, roll it up, and it sits below the levels of the cross members so that it doesn't interfere with the storing of the ladders, but it just lets you very easily load the ladders on and off the rack. Okay, and then installation is always important when you talk about ladder racks, and I'm going to share right now just a little short video on actually this rack being installed. Doesn't take very long. Let's see here. All right, and there we go. And I'll just talk over this. So it's fairly simple, simple installation. Not a whole lot of tools that are required. Just standard sockets and wrenches and things like that. A level just to make sure it's level. And this young man here is actually John Berg. He's head of the R&D shop in Crystal Lake, and actually this is being installed in the shop in Crystal Lake to get a little feel for what that's like as well. But just simple attachment for the legs and the feet for the ladder rack. Ladder rack itself, the full size racks have 7 cross members. You get the cross members, the top rails, Zen caps, and then, basically it all comes in the kit. You bolt the 2 top rail sections together. Very simple with carriage bolts. Easy to do. And, beyond that, it's just really just kind of attaching the cross members. Let me fast forward a little bit here. Okay. Inside the channel, for the load, the braces there, load tie downs, that just fits into the channel with a hand tight knot, so that'll just slide back and forth and easily repositionable on the cross member depending upon what load you're carrying. You bolt the stands onto the cross members, and there's 3 stands on either side. There are dimensions in the instruction sheet on exactly where to position those depending on what type of van you have. Bolt the cross members onto the to the stands and onto the side rails. And with some assistance, you will get some, go ahead and attach the rear roller assembly there. And then with some assistance, you just take the whole unit, and again, it's aluminum, so it's much lighter than the steel one. It's about a little bit less than half the weight. You can hoist this right onto the roof of the vehicle. You can see the shop there in Crystal Lake. And you can see this one's being mounted to a transit van. You can see the roof channel is already mounted to the van. You bolt it in place. You do need to adjust the rear cross member a little bit so that your ladder's not going to hit the back of the van. And here's one that is already installed on the vehicle. Really is a nice rack, and again, much more versatile than the older racks because they just fit more vehicles. Okay, all right, and that's a quick run through of the aluminum Safari rack. If you have any questions, please let us know now, and we'll get those addressed.
What type of hardware is being used? Is it stainless? Is it standard grade 8 bolts? What's the hardware?
They're zinc coated. They're zinc
They're
coated,
zinc
so they
chrome.
are
Thank you.
rust and corrosion resistant.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. Hey, Dan, I don't have any questions. This is Kevin Ye with WeatherGuard. I could not have done a better job than you just did. So I literally have nothing to add. I'll just double down on a couple of your comments. One, right, you mentioned it, but the future of WeatherGuard products is going to be aluminum based. First and foremost, like you said, for that rust and corrosion resistance. The only two things I would add in is those cross members, like you said, shaped like an airplane wing, right? So when an upfitter installs it and puts it together, the thick part's up front and it tapers toward the back of the van. And then the last thing I would say is if you're going to put those ladder stops in, which they will, you got to want to make sure you put those in the cross members before you put the sides on. Otherwise, you got to take the sides off to put the cross members back on. So that's just a logistic step. Now, myself and another marketing person put this whole thing together in about 15 minutes. So an upfitter with the right tools could probably put together it fully installed in 10 minutes or less. So super quick install. But again, Dan, you went over that better than I could. So kudos to you, and I got nothing else to add.
I have one thing to add is that our mounting channels for everyone, our mounting channels are almost universal to all of our different rack product. It's designed for the particular vehicle. So a 2115 is for a ProMaster, and it'll work with our Safari rack. It'll act with our 2195 Easy Glide 2. It'll work with all of our racks. So the mounting is universal. So that's a nice point also.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your comments.